Hello there, everybody, and welcome to Redgate DBAle.
The barley.
That was a bit too close to "Are you ready to rumble?" I think. Let's get ready to rumble. Wait, let's get ready to rumble. What was that? Who was that?
Backstreet Boys, wasn't it?
Was that the Backs? No, is that?
Yeah, or Five or something. They're all the same band, basically.
Producer Louise is like shaking her head. Oh, it was PJ and Duncan from, was that Biker Grove? Or it was
Really?
it was Biker Grove. Oh dear. Okay, well, if anybody out there is wondering what song this is, it's PJ and Duncan, Let's Get Ready to Rumble. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
I'm pretty sure Let's Get Ready to Rumble are the only lyrics to that song as well. Just sung in slightly different ways.
I honestly, Biker Grove was a little bit before my time, so and you're only a year older than me, Chris, so
2 years. They count.
2 years?
Yeah.
You had your 30th birthday last year.
30th birthday last year, 31st oh, you know, that's 2020. 31st last year.
When I'm so confused. Anyway, thank you everyone for dropping by and welcome to DBAle episode number we've completely forgotten at this point. But that's fine. Don't worry. We soldier on. We stay safe. We stay indoors. We stay near the beer because I don't want anyone pinching it. Of course, you are joining us here for DBAle 28, the episode that we are affectionately referring to as the January Brews. And it's actually all the more pertinent, I think, that we're recording it on what is termed Blue Monday, but we'll get into that in just a moment. Of course, my name is the wonderful, the obnoxious, a little bit, yeah, he's all right, Chris.
And I'm also Chris. Probably.
All right, Chris, there's no need to talk my arm off about it. Jeez. But no, seriously, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. How are you? I'm a little tired, actually.
Yeah?
But otherwise, I'm good. Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm very good too, thank you. And I think that's something that we take a little bit for granted, is asking people how they are. You join a meeting, you speak to someone, you say, "Hey, how are you?" And they go, "Yeah, I'm fine." But the problem is that just a gut reaction? Do we just say, "Yeah, I'm fine," because that's what the other person expects to hear? Well, this and obviously a couple of other topics we'll be tackling on this particular session. No, we're not going to be talking so much about to databases and to datas and the DevOps and all that sort of wonderful techie goodness. But actually in this particular DBL, we're going to be talking a little bit more about beating the January blues, about doing something that makes you a little bit happier and doing something that, you know, helps you fight off that darkness, that cold, that whatever it is that usually comes with January. So today's episode, we're going to basically go into 10 of mine and Chris's top tips for how to beat the January blues. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah. Although I do kind of feel for the people who get depressed in July. They don't get this big push.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is Blue Monday itself was actually a hoax created by the travel industry. And effectively, if it's created
by an industry, is it a hoax or is it a marketing gimmick?
It's a marketing gimmick, basically created by the travel industry, effectively to inspire people to book holidays, right? You know, to go away somewhere sunny, somewhere nice, to spend that money. Interesting point of fact, though, is that it's not making light of people who are really going through stuff right now. You know, there's a lot of people who are going through stuff right now. And again, this will all be on the discussion as we get into our main theme, lest we once again head off on a ridiculous tangent.
Never.
No, it doesn't sound like us at all. But we do have some good news to start off with. I realize that the news is kind of our end thing, but we do have some news for the beginning.
Some beginning news.
Beginning news. Do you have a good theme song that we could use for the news at the beginning?
I kind of wanted to go off the Let's Get Ready to Rumble song, but I don't think I'd do it justice.
Let's get ready to read news. No, that sounded that cadence of notes there kind of sounded more like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
No.
Let's get ready to read news. Let's get ready to read news. No, okay.
That is a great theme tune, by the way.
Oh, amazing. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Good.
That and Dragon Ball Z, like the one with the actual guitars that comes in at the beginning. Phenomenal. But anyway, it is DBAle, and we have 2 bits of excellent news, and then we have a beer. So first bit of good news, a bit of a hush, bit of a drum roll.
I'm amazed how effective that is.
Did it sound quite good?
Yeah, do that again. No, you stopped. Yeah.
So DBAle has hit 10,000 unique downloads. That's right. We've hit our 10,000 magic listen moment, or magic listener moment. I guess we should magic listens, magic thing. Yay. Words.
What defines a listen? Like,
well, we don't care because we have 10,000 of them. So
I guess so. I'm just intrigued. Like, does someone have to listen to the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
No, they have to listen to all of it, Chris. All of it, every second.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But in any case,
this. Like, what does YouTube mark as a listen, or Spotify? Anyway, no tangents, Chris. Come on.
Chris, is there anything you would like to say to our wonderful listeners, given that we've just hit this monumental checkpoint?
Not really, no.
Okay, well, moving on then. Next piece of news. So we actually are moving on to the beer. Oh, no, wait, hang on. No, one thing I've left out. We're getting swag because we hit 10,000 listens. The wonderful producer Louise and the 2 of us knuckleheads are going to be getting matching outfits. And basically it's going to have our names and faces and stuff on, and it's going to be wonderful. I'm going to love it. Yeah. So if anyone didn't know how sad we were IRL, they'll get to see us in our podcast supporting hoodies out IRL.
Yeah.
Yay. Yeah, so that was the other piece of news. Anyway,
all those people who listen to this podcast and live in deepest, darkest, that's why I got deepest from, deepest, darkest East Anglia.
Yes, so fair point. If you are a DBAle listener and you live in the east of the UK, send us a tweet, because I'm really not sure where our listeners are from. It'd be nice to take a quick poll. So if you're listening to DBAle, send us a tweet. Let us know where you're from. If you're from the east of Anglia, the east of England,
spoonerisms are infectious, no doubt.
That would be that would be great. But given the theme, we're talking about locality, and we're talking about the thing is, this is a January unlike any January we've ever felt, because we're in lockdown. Or certainly we are here in the UK, and there are many, many countries around the world that have just gone back into lockdown, are just coming out of lockdown, some form of lockdown. It is a bit of a blue January. So we thought, do you know what? Given the local lockdown, we're going to get a nice local beer for the podcast. So Chris, what have you got for us today?
Well, I have got an order from the Three Blind Mice Brewery, which is a local EV beer. So these guys, they are 3, funnily enough, individuals who decided to, in their spare time, open a brewery, the Three Blind Mice Brewery, and it took off really well. They took the whole microbrewery thing and it exploded. So they've become a regular staple of the Cambridge Beer Festival back when Cambridge Beer Festival. And we went to beer festivals and saw each other in person. And they've opened a pub in the last few years in Ely called the Drayman's Son. Great pub, really nice pub. And so I have from them their Citra Pilsner, which is probably not what they're most known for, but I've not had it before, so I want to give it a try.
No, that's really interesting. I've had Three Blind Mice before, actually, at some of the other beer festivals. So I think they were at the Cambridge Winter Beer Festival once.
Highly likely, yeah.
They were
usually
also in St Ives
at the summer one.
Yeah.
My favourite beer of theirs that I've had was one called Cigarettes and Coffee, I believe. It was a stout that tasted like cigarettes and coffee. It was amazing.
I mean, you're not doing it justice, really. Yeah, it just tasted like, cigarettes and coffee. I mean, that's fair enough, I suppose, if you're enjoying it over like a nice view first thing in the morning, but we don't condone morning drinking. Wonderful. So I have actually got myself here a nice Papworth Brewery ale. So Papworth, just up the road from me. This was actually purchased for me by my grandmother for Christmas. That's how you know you've made an impression when your grandmother's buying you alcohol.
She is at least 5,000 of our listeners. So
This is true.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure she knows what a Spotify is, but we'll figure it out.
She's an Apple person.
Let's go with that. So this particular one is called the Whitfield Citra Bolt. It's a citrusy golden ale. It's only about 3.8%. It smells phenomenal because, like a dingus, I've already delidded it, so I can already smell it.
Yeah, why did you open it?
I don't know. I was in summer. I haven't had anything. I haven't had any alcohol since the 3rd of January. So that's just over 2 weeks for me. I would say that's pretty good going. But yeah, I tried to be a little bit healthier in January, trying not to drink so much. But I think this will be a well-earned, well-deserved treat. So without further ado, then, Chris, shall we crack these open and get on with the podcast?
Let's.
Woohoo! To be fair, that was a good enough open for the both of us. So now it's all in the pour.
You ready?
I have no idea if that actually sounded like a good beer pouring. I'm going to look at producer Louise and see if she could hear it. Yep, thumbs up. Excellent. Right.
I love the idea that Louise might have to describe her job to someone. What did you get up to today? Well, for a good period of time, I sat on a Zoom call and watched two idiots pour beer into a glass, specifically to try and make as much noise as possible while they did it.
It's like adult chuckle vision, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
To all of our listeners who don't know what chuckle vision is, you are thoroughly missing out. Google it immediately, right now. Go ahead, I'll wait. Chuckle, the regular way, chuckle vision. Go on. Google.com, that's the one. Chuckle vision. Right, you're welcome.
We've got
Save that for
10,000 listeners with you diverting our audience to other things.
Go watch Chuckle Vision now. Pause the podcast. Go watch Chuckle Vision. Come back. You ready? To me.
No.
Oh. I just shot it down. Never mind. Anyway, onto the theme, because we've got a lot.
Did you know?
To get through.
Sorry, random one.
Oh,
but
dear.
There were 3 Chuckle Brothers on Chuckle Vision.
What?
Yeah. Bet you didn't know that one. Google that later.
I will definitely Google that later. Oh my gosh, this beer is incredible. Wow. It's smooth. It's fruity. You can really taste the citra hops. Sorry, I don't mean to dismiss your third Chuckle Brother thing, but my goodness, this took me by surprise. This is quite one of my favorite words to use that I don't think I use enough is quaffable.
Quaffable.
Now I sound like I'm in a spelling bee. Chris Unwin for quaffable.
Can you use it in a
Quaffable.
sentence, please?
This beer is quite quaffable.
Q U A F F E.
Sorry. Oh, but let's take a look at what you could have won. Oh, it's a speedboard. Oh, I live in Birmingham. Okay.
Okay, we just broke Chris.
No, that's what happened on the old Bullseye program. Anyway, never mind. Oh, look, it's a brand new car. It's a Daewoo. Oh, what? Anyway, do Daewoo still make cars? Apparently. I think they do. Anyway, moving swiftly on. We've got our beer. That, of course, means it's time for our topic of the month. I was about to say topic of the week, and I was like, I don't want to move to filming DBL every single week. I'd be knackered. So, obviously, it's January. We're in a bit of a lockdown sitch. We can't really go out, can't really see people, can't really do much. And everyone is saying that they're fine. So before we get into our top tips, and today we're going to be doing our top tips on, how to really beat the January blues, how to make yourself feel just that little bit happier, how to really inspire yourself. But one thing that I would say that you can't dismiss in all of this. Of course, you are number one. You should definitely be thinking of yourself, because it's really important to care about yourself and obviously look after yourself. But do make sure you're also looking after others. There are a couple of things that we can do in this lockdown that brings other people joy. Feedback, like we spoke about on previous podcasts, really, really important. Compliments, like actually just calling someone out. Oh, hey, is that a new jumper you're wearing? It looks really nice. Oh, I really like your hair. These sorts of things just make someone's day. Ask them how they are. Just be there to listen if you can. It really helps.
Oh,
not to Chris. Nice,
Chris.
Don't listen
not
to Chris.
To me.
No.
This is not a new jumper. I've shaved my hair. I forgot what the others were. Can't dismiss them. Anyway,
moving on. So we have for you 10 top tips, not just tips, top tips, tiptoes, frosted tips.
You've been taking your English lessons from BuzzFeed again.
Yeah.
And top secret tips to beat the January blues.
10
you won't believe what number 3 is.
Doctors hate Chris's. Yeah. Find out their secret.
Just to ask them a lot of questions and Google things on your phone while you're in the doctor's surgery. That's my top tip for annoying doctors.
Is it buy swag with your face on and that beats the January blues? That's the whole article.
Buy things. That's the tip. Just buy everything.
Retail therapy. Spend beyond your means. No.
Oh, yeah.
Live a life of luxury at home where we can't leave. Anyway, no. We are, of course, going to talk about how we're going to beat January and lockdown. And let's go with number one. So Chris and I have come up with 5 ideas each, and we're going to say the idea, and then we're going to explain the idea as well. Of course, a good host always lets another good host go first. So Chris, you go first.
Cool. I will go first because I'm not a good host. I am a bad host.
Is this good host, bad host?
Good host, bad host.
It's like I'm the one who's like, hey, welcome to DBAle. And you're like, why are you listening to DBAle? God, you got nothing better to do.
Yeah. Like negging the audience. So I'm going to start with my top tip number 1. There's going to be a lot of overlap here, I think, between what we've spoken about before and working from home, because that kind of is life now for a lot of people. My number 1 tip is hygiene, which kind of sounds like a weird one, but yeah. a lot of people will adjust their work from home, I guess, day-to-day routine quite dramatically. I'm going to come on to routine more later, spoiler alert. And if you do things like rock up to your first meeting at 9 o'clock straight out of bed, still in your pajamas, that doesn't really set you up well for the day. Maintaining good hygiene and having a shower when you usually would is highly recommended, because it just puts you in the right frame of mind to kick things off. Not only that, but I don't know. Generally, there's a good correlation between feeling good health-wise, feeling good cleanliness-wise, and feeling good happiness-wise. So help yourself out. Have a shower.
They do say that cleanliness is next to godliness, and I enjoy starting my 9 a.m. meetings with a hefty God complex.
Exactly, yes. Or your 7 a.m. meetings in your case.
Yeah, well, I like the early ones. I actually prefer to shower at the end of the day or after I've exercised, but mostly at the end of the day. And the reason that I like to shower at the end of the day is that I was listening to another podcast, actually. There's a podcast. Oh, gosh. And this is great for wellness. So if you're listening, 100%, go and check this podcast out. It's the Feel Better, Live Longer podcast by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. And he's phenomenal. And he has lots of guests on, and they talk about everything from like mindfulness through diet, through sleep and everything like that. And I'm pretty sure I heard on one of his podcasts that if you have a shower before bed, it raises your body temperature significantly. And the coming down of that body temperature, it imitates in some way the coming down of your body temperature when you fall asleep. Because when you fall asleep, your body temperature drops. So if you start higher, as your body temperature drops whilst you're in bed, it simulates that same experience, which eases your body into sleeping.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've heard that it's really good generally to just relax your muscles as well, like a hot soak before bed can do that if you try and get sleep. But then some people are just like me and sweat profusely during the night, so wouldn't really set me up well for the next day.
Well, you could always shower both. There's no reason why you couldn't.
That's true.
You couldn't have a short shower
stay in the
evening,
shower. Have just one continuous shower throughout all of lockdown.
We can all pretty much work from our phones, and most phones these days are waterproof. So become a prune, live life in water, summon the Kraken, and do some work.
Yeah, top tip.
Hey, so number 2 then is, I'm going to take this one. It's going to be the opposite of getting further inside, going to the shower. It's going to be the other direction, out the front door and into nature. So my top tip is get outside and/or get some vitamin D. So studies have shown that actually being closer to nature can bring about a huge amount of well-being. One study showed that just taking your socks off and walking barefoot across grass can have a really positive effect on your body as a whole. And it's surprising how just being around trees and grass and animals, if possible, if you've got a park nearby, it doesn't take much. Just getting out is really important, and especially vitamin D. We need vitamin D to maintain a healthy body. If you live in an area like, I don't know, if you live anywhere that's sunny right now, I'm looking at you, Australia, then you're generally okay. Just make sure you don't burn. Make sure you take proper precautions with the sun. We don't have that problem here in the UK, where English summer is probably the best day of the calendar year. If you are, living in an area that gets less than average sun, in the Nordic countries, in the UK, etc., Canada, do make sure that you're taking any vitamin D supplements and keeping an eye on those vitamin D levels, as being outside in nature and also getting your vitamin D, I suppose these are 2 points, but coupled together can have a really positive impact on your well-being, mental health, and happiness.
Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah, I like to think so.
My number 3. So I kind of alluded to it, but have a good routine and stick to the routine. People like routine in general. I know everyone's different and some people react in very different ways, but
yeah,
we would usually have a routine and stick to that routine. And usually before, for example, my routine would be get up, have a shower, get dressed, have breakfast, go to work, and the day continues from there. Now the go to work step is very definitely changed, but the routine is still there. It's just the commute is no longer there.
Yeah.
I still see people. It's just I see people virtually. Otherwise, it's mostly the same. Still do the 9 to 5, just in my house rather than at the office.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I do find that routine generally does help. I've found myself replacing the morning commute with like a nice healthy breakfast, whereas before I was getting to work, I was working a lot beyond the hours that I was actually, contractually obliged to work, because I was taking the bus early because I didn't like sitting on packed buses. If I'd have, I could have just sat on the bus, got to work by 8:30, started work 8:30, finished 4:30, off a pop on my way home. But it wasn't really that simple. So I had to go in a bit earlier to avoid the crowd, get a seat on the bus, that sort of thing. And I was doing a lot more work than was healthy for me. And, often you do stay beyond 4:30, don't you? You pull into one more meeting, you grab someone on their way out the door, X, Y, Z. Naturally, you end up getting home kind of later and later within the year. So actually, I found that this has inspired a much nicer routine. I've been able to cook much healthier food. I've been able to, I get up off of my seat and I go over to the kitchen and I cook, and we're eating at a reasonable time. So building out these routines are so good for you as well, and really good for kids as well, for structure.
The other nice thing about routines, there's a saying as well, get in the habit of being in habits. Routine is a really good way to introduce things that you want in your life. So going outside, for example, or exercise maybe.
Oh, well, that's an excellent point, because my next recommendation, point number 4, I think, is exercise and drink lots of water. So it's actually combining a few of the previous points, get outside, get some vitamin D, and routine as well. Build exercise into that routine. And, it doesn't, you're not expected to be, Mo Farah, Usain Bolt, Jason Gatlin. No one expects you to break the sound barrier by running, although I do fiercely run past the slow down sign over near the school in my town, because the moment you go above 20 miles an hour, it starts flashing at you. So I like to really run and see if one day it will tell me to slow down. That's like my ultimate goal.
That's quite an aspiration there, Chris.
It's quite fast. I realize that 20 miles an hour is quite quick.
Very fast.
But it's fine. I'm fine. I could do that.
Maybe. Aspirational goals, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to have something to shoot for. And occasionally it's nice, and a car comes driving up behind me as I'm running past it. I'm like, it's flashing. And then
Perfect.
It's the car.
Driving at 23.
Yes, exactly. And exercise, beyond just being good for you, I think we can all agree that exercise is good for your body, right? It helps you lose weight. It helps you stay fit. It helps reduce inflammation. It helps all these sorts of things. It helps reduce the chance of chronic disease. But it's just a good way to get out of your own head. I like to put BBC Radio 1 on. Everyone's got their own jogging playlist. I just listen to Radio 1, and I like listening to people like Nick Grimshaw and Scott Mills just talking, because Nick Grimshaw the other day had a Harry Potter quiz off against a 12-year-old girl. And they were just, they were answering questions. They
It's
were
like the
both getting them
third or
wrong.
fourth time you've diverted listeners away to other things.
Well, they had this Harry Potter quiz off, and I'm just running along. I'm not even paying attention to the fact that every limb in my body is going, we should stop. Let's find a pub, if it were open, sit down and order chips and beer. Like, my entire body is going, but I'm not aware of that because my brain is somewhere else. I'm like, oh, come on, it's the sorting hat. It's called the sorting hat. And before I know it, I'm 40 minutes into a run, I'm back home, and that's it.
Each their own, I guess.
It's just a really good positive thing you can do for your body.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Point number 5.
Oh.
So this is one that will vary depending on your living situation and how fortunate you are. But I would say having an isolated work area really, really helps me personally. Having somewhere that you, even if it is a physical demarcation you make that isn't grounded in the actual physical objects. So, for example, stepping out of the room, stepping into the room. But having a location where you work and a location where you don't work is very important. So if you don't do that, what you can find is that you will associate your living areas with work, which can be a great way of making you feel like you're at work all the time, which isn't a hugely positive feeling for a lot of people. It will be a very easy way to introduce burnout. Will also mean that you won't as strictly maintain your routine. You won't work your 9 till 5, you'll more work your 9 till 7, which becomes your 9 till 8, your 9 till 9, and then before you know it, you wake up, you work, you go to sleep.
Yeah. And even if you do it, even if we're talking metaphorically, right, even just being able to, one of my favorite things is when it gets to Friday, so Andrea and her cousin and I, what we like to do is when the weekend rolls around, given that we're under lockdown, we've been playing a lot of tabletop kind of fantasy role-playing games like Mansions of Madness. So that has been a really good staple in our house. We've got tons of expansions. We've got all the different like cards and tiles and scenarios. So we need to play that on our dining room table. Of course, I work on my dining room table because my wife's in the office, her cousin's in her room. There's nowhere else for me to go. So I've set I've set the desk up basically in such a way that it's really easy to fold everything away and to stack it down compactly by the side of the table. So it doesn't hinder me putting it back up. It's not a hard thing to do. I can recreate my working environment within 2 minutes if I want to. But the point is, it's not on the dining room table. So we're free to eat, to play board games. We're free to do whatever we like. And that symbolically is more meaningful than I think having an actual separate room.
Yeah, I think so. Again, another example here, like I'm in a room. Again, I'm lucky that I've got a room I can dedicate to an office, but I've got, I use this office for personal time as well as work time. It's just I don't let it bleed into one. So I always make sure I have a break between those two things happening. If I'm going to switch machine and play on my PC rather than working on my laptop, well, then I'll, as I said, just go outside, downstairs, come back in, and then do something else. And that sounds a bit weird that you just leave the room and come in again, but that's to grab a drink, it's to go to the loo, it's to have dinner,
do the things you would otherwise do in an office.
Exactly. Replicate the commute almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just so much as standing up, I think a lot of people underestimate the power of standing up, but that's why we're seeing so many more standing desks now as well, is that it's very easy at home to sit for so long. There are times where I'm sat down for 4 hours at a time on demonstrations of the Redgate software. And then I stand up and my legs are like, oh, I've forgotten about standing up. Oh, and you're like, oh yeah, I should have done this a while ago. So that's why making sure, one of my top tips for that is not having too big a glass for water. And then
I
the
see.
moment the glass empties, go and get a new glass of water. Yes, it means it means the hassle of refilling your glass more often, but it means that you stand up and go and do something every half an hour, 40 minutes anyway. And that's really good. I suppose that falls
Absolutely.
into your routine category, though.
Yes, it does. I'm actually going to do another one of mine now because I've got something that's very closely related. If you don't mind, Chris. Instead of back and forth.
I mean, yeah, go on then.
So, speaking of commutes and missing your commutes, for me, my commute was about half hour to 40 minutes drive, depending on traffic. And that was time that I would listen to an audiobook.
So now you just go and sit in the car for half an hour. Just
Yeah, exactly.
hands on the steering wheel, not going anywhere.
Don't get out again. I love audiobooks. I get really into them. But I've noticed that since lockdown 2020 started, my audiobook listening has gone down sharply because I just don't have the time to do it anymore. Usually my times for listening to them would be household chores, it would be cooking, commuting, and go to the gym. So going to the gym and commuting is now off the table, which means I only do it with household chores and cooking, which, 2 out of 4 isn't bad, I guess, but it's just not as regularly. And that time to just unwind and think about something else and do something completely different, I think was definitely lost. I think just recognize the fact that everyone needs a bit of you time, and not just in yourself, but in other people as well. Like some people might want to just be on their phone for like 20 minutes or so. It's a natural distinction and a natural urge. You don't even have to have you time completely in your own isolated room by any means. Like sometimes you time just means hanging out on the sofa and not interacting with someone for a bit. We're all somewhere on the scale of introvert to extrovert, and some people just recharge a bit more from having their own personal space.
Weirdly, you would think that I was too far on that scale to enjoy my own personal time, and that the moment I'm left to my own devices, the voices win. But no, I completely agree. Sometimes all you need is a bit of time to just recharge. Just, it's these sorts of times where in my brain I'm just going, you do you, boo. Just take that time. And that's
you
really
refer
important.
to yourself as boo.
Yeah, boo.
In the third person.
Oh. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you got to love yourself. And that's giving yourself time. Time being the most precious resource, I think, is one of the best ways of showing yourself love.
This is starting to sound like lyrics to many a pop song, I feel. Anyway, carry on.
Well, the carry on is just going to be my next point. So interestingly, given that I was talking there about being grateful for time that I can spend, by myself, time that I can spend with my own thoughts to recharge. My next point, my next tip, as it were, which I've forgotten what number tip it is, but find something to be grateful for every day. It's really, really hard. You would think it's really easy. Okay, day 1, I'm really grateful for having a roof over my head. Day 2, I'm really grateful for family. Day 3, I'm really grateful for the food on my table. Day 4. Day 30, I'm really grateful I didn't stub my toe today. No, you've really got to come up with...
Always be grateful that you don't have toothache when you don't have toothache.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the single worst pain in the world. Of course, toothache. Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. But interestingly, there's a lot of apps and a lot of different ways that you can record your gratitude, and you can even look back on it, and it can bring you joy in the future as well. So There's apps like Happy Feed. Happy Feed is a good one where you have to record 3 things that you're grateful for at the end of the day. You can include pictures, and that Happy Feed evolves over time so that you look back at the last year, the last 2 years, the last 3 years, kind of like the whole timeline thing.
That's cool.
And it effectively shows you the things that you were grateful for and reminds you of that, and uses your past gratitude to make you happy again in the present and the future. So that's a really good one. Also keeping track of the things you love and that you're grateful for using like passion planners, or there's like the 6-second diary now that's quite popular. These sorts of things where you can record what you're grateful for. It's really, really good for just, helping you stay thankful, helping you stay grounded.
Which brings me to a great segue onto my final point, I believe.
I've still got 2 left. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, I'm just being advantageous. Anyway, so
Advantageous. A D V G.
So lists, and specifically to-do lists, and this is going to appeal to some types of people more than others, but it's very easy to feel overwhelmed. A lot of the time we take on more tasks before we clear things off. There's 2 different analogies that I really like for this. One is spinning plates. So we've all seen the spinning plates trick where you've got the performer who spins lots of plates. It's amazing how many plates they can keep spinning. You just keep adding the spinning plates and spinning plates, but there's a limit. There's only so many plates you can keep spinning at a time. You need to recognize and realize this. The other analogy I really like is around chittering monkeys. So every task you take on is a chittering monkey, every single one, and you keep adding chittering monkeys and chittering monkeys with every new task until eventually your head is just full with constant noise from these monkeys that are telling you, oh, you need to do this, 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 you need to do this. Your worry and anxiety about actually doing the tasks that you don't get around to holds you back from doing the tasks, which clears out the monkeys. Easy way to break that down, structure it, is quite simply to-do lists. Put a list of chittering monkeys that you have, and then start methodically going through them, break them out.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think sorting as well and prioritization comes into that, where you've got, if you've got 3 or 4 chittering monkeys, naturally you can put them all down. It's kind of obvious which one you got to do. And if we were to explain it almost in database terms, you've got processes here and maybe some are deadlocking, and you've got to figure out what needs to be done to take out that deadlock, right? You've got to figure out the blocking hierarchy there. But
yeah, and I think sometimes it's like what you'll do is you'll put down a to-do list, and if you prioritize it, this is the most important. But the most important might be the most time consuming. If you literally just need to make yourself feel better, then churn through the quick wins.
Yeah.
And just check some of these things off, so you don't think or worry that your to-do list is too long anymore. Now your to-do list is just the one important thing that you've got to do.
Interestingly, whenever I make a to-do list, the first item on that to-do list is always make to-do list. And it sounds a bit silly, but actually making a to-do list that's 10, 15 items long and then being able to tick the first one off, that's, hey, well, I've already started. I'm already 1/15 of the way to the end of the to-do list. It gives you that feeling of accomplishment because you've sat down, you've put pen to paper or finger to phone or whatever, and you've got a list. And actually, sometimes that's the first step. That's the hardest thing to do. And even if you defer certain tasks, even if they become pushed tasks that you can't achieve with the time given, you've got them on a list. So you can always refer to that if you need to.
My favorite way of doing this, by the way, is to divide it between urgency and importance. So this is what's known as an Eisenhower matrix. Split up your tasks between what is urgent and important, urgent but not important, important but not urgent, and neither important nor urgent.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you a very easy way to prioritize tasks and maybe even forget about some tasks you don't actually need to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. And where obviously a lot of tasks are similar in terms of importance or urgency, you could, of course, sort them into a different matrix, which is like effort versus impact, which will then help with getting those quick wins. Cool. All right. Well, in that case, then, now that you've exhausted your list, haha, I guess I get the
Hey.
last two. Tremendous. So number 9 is quite simply message some old friends. Message some people you haven't spoken to in a while, who you miss, or who it just hasn't been top of your agenda. Think back to school, university. Think back to the friends that you've made, and ping them a message. Just send them a text, a tweet, an Instagram message, whatever it is, just to let them know that you were thinking of them. It might strike up a really cool conversation, or at the very least, it might just make someone feel good, make someone realize that someone was thinking about them. And, that's just a really good way of staying connected with people when you feel like you can't be.
Absolutely. Really easy to feel like an island at the moment.
Yeah. And the final one then is, I think, probably summed up quite nicely in most of our points, but do something you love or find something new you can love. And, this could be anything. This could be from, firing up your PC and playing the Windows 95 classic Grim Fandango, which I believe has been remastered and released on maybe Steam and GOG. Or it could be playing cards. It could be playing Carcassonne. I love Carcassonne. Or, anything. Video games, films, TV series. Find a new series. I've actually, to speak to your point on routine, Chris, I actually have been watching both Star Trek Discovery and also the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix.
As one does.
As one does. And what I've done is I've found that I can fit an entire episode into the period of time before I start work if I have my breakfast and my first coffee of the day whilst watching. And actually, it's quite a nice way to start the day, because I don't start the day thinking, oh gosh, I've got that meeting, and oh my goodness, this is going to be such a problem, or house worries, money worries, nothing like that. You literally start the day thinking, oh, I'm really looking forward to that berry porridge and my coffee, and oh, I wonder what's going to happen in Sabrina or Star Trek. So find something that you love and do a little bit of it every day, whether it's painting or games or TV series. Just do a little bit, and the cliffhanger, the thing that playing or watching leaves you on, it inspires you to keep going. And once you come to, say, the end of a TV series or the end of a show, there's a million other ones out there. So just pick another one and then go again. And it, unless you're a university student right now, I doubt you could watch the entire catalogue of everything on Netflix, Amazon Prime, BBC iPlayer, all of these sorts of series and streaming sites.
Cool.
And of course, a bonus point, listen to DBAle every day. Oh, naturally. Go back and listen to our back catalogue. You got 27 episodes to pick from. Just pick one, listen. I can assure you.
Grandma needs encouragement at this point. She's already chaining them.
I can assure you it's 101% cruelty-free, except for in my direction, and delicious, because beer.
Oh, Chris, you're delicious. Don't be unkind to yourself.
Oh, you.
All right, then. Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, so we've taken up most of our time. We only have a little bit of time left. So a couple of things that we've got to update you on, because we're moving now into the news.
Oh,
hang on. Do you want to try again? You read the room wrong. Do you want to try a different one?
Okay, then.
Okay, here we go. The news. Oh yeah, welcome to the news. Are you doing it like a DJ at a children's party? It's just like, okay, well, thank you, year 7, but just a reminder, the disco is closing at 6:30. That's it. Timmy, your mum's in the car park. No. Now it's time for some Spice Girls.
Vindaloo.
Oh no. Anyway, moving on, the news. This is not going to be fun to edit. Moving on to the news. So, two kind of one DBL specific piece of news and one Redgate specific news that's actually really, really exciting. So, have I gone quiet? Can you still hear me? That's weird.
Maybe knock the mic.
Did I knock the mic? Knock the mic, don't knock the mic, baby. Knock the mic, don't knock the mic over.
I don't know what happened, but yeah, your volume levels are drastically reduced.
So can you hear me if I speak like this?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll just be really very intimately close with the microphone.
Oh, dear.
For the benefit of those listening at home, I just made tongue waggling motions at my microphone. So the first piece of news is congratulations to the winner of the DBAle end of year beer competition. Your beer is winging its way all the way to you in sunny Northern England. Of course, tough luck to anyone else who entered. Obviously, hotly contested, but there's always later on. There's always going to be more chances for you to win. So do keep listening, and you never know when you might win a crate of DBAle beer.
But for the record, it's not DBAle beer.
No, it's not. It's beer. Yeah, okay. That's fair. This is true.
Yet. Lou, take notes.
Yeah, Lou. Anyway, the second piece of news, which is actually really exciting, is that
Capcom, I've had it. Oh.
No, you can take that one in a minute.
Okay.
No, the next one is that Redgate is actually conducting a Redgate Summit on February the 17th and 18th of 2021. So 2021 is obviously the big year for database DevOps, and we've got a lot of different database technologies, a lot of push towards the cloud, a lot of onus on CI and CD moving into 2021. So what is it all about, and how do we get started? Well, interestingly, if you go to red-gate.com/hub and click on events, or go to red-gate.com/hub/events, I'm not going to tell you how to get there, but go there. You'll find a little banner that says the Redgate Summit, the future of database DevOps. And you can actually sign up. You can actually register for this event now. There's going to be some incredible sessions from some amazing speakers, including Pramod, the director of ThoughtWorks. We've got Redgate's very own Grant Fritchie, Steve Jones, Kendra Little, etc. Some powerhouses of the database world, including Kellen Potvin-Gorman from Microsoft, John Martin, Samir Bahara, Carlos Robles, Kathy Kellenberger. There's tons of people taking part. It's tremendous. And there's going to be a ton of information on adopting database DevOps, cross-DB database DevOps, a whole bunch of other things. Basically, red-gate.com/hub/events, and you'll be able to get your superstar ticket for that event as well. So don't miss out. Go and sign up now. And those were the DBL and Redgate news. So, Chris, did you have a piece of news to finish us off? Something that's perhaps data breach related?
So I have two quick data breaches. One.
Data breach monthly.
Yeah. Speaking of things you love, what Capcom games do you love, Chris?
I'm a big fan of Resident Evil 4,
Yeah.
predominantly for the person that you buy things off of, the trader, just because when you go up to them, they go, "What'll it be, stranger?" And for some reason, I harmonize with that. I kind of feel like I would say that if I was working at a supermarket, like if they came up, like, like working at Argos and they come up with a ticket and you're like, what'll it be, stranger? And they're
the
like,
same line every time.
I'm looking for a shoebox and a lamp. Ah, good choice.
This is the deli counter, though. So anyway, Capcom were hit by a hacker, it seems.
And in true video game form, oof.
Oh dear. So someone somewhere, probably a specific group of people who have a specific ransomware called Ragnar, targeted Capcom and installed this bit of software. So we've heard of ransomware before. It essentially spreads maliciously across an infected system and encrypts a huge amount of files and then charges you a ransom to unencrypt it. This is a fairly interesting spin on that take, where it does the exact same thing, except instead of encrypting it in order to give it back to you, it also downloads copies of it and threatens you with a data breach effectively by saying that we're going to release all the data we found if you don't pay, as well as you not getting the copies of data back. So in the modern day, you're probably taking backups, and if you're taking regularly scheduled backups, or if you're using appropriate records management, you actually might be pretty well protected if someone decides to just encrypt all your data. You've got 3 copies of every file anyway on OneDrive and SharePoint and Dropbox or whatever system you're using, as well as your local machine. So this is kind of a clever way to also get that ransom out of people. So yeah, the group who have created this bit of ransomware infected it on the Capcom system. Capcom evidently didn't pay the ransom, and so the data was published on the Ragnar website. I say website, but the website located on the dark web. So feel free to access that if you so feel the need.
Don't encourage people to the dark web, Chris.
Second one is a very relevant, I guess, but Pfizer hit, well, not specifically Pfizer, but the European Medical Association. I believe that's what EMA stands for. European Medicines Agency, sorry. So they were hit by a cyber attack from what is being loosely termed as a specific national agency. No one's specifically saying who the national agency probably is, but you can guess it's one of two. The fact that the data showed up on a Russian message board on the dark web then kind of gives you a bit more of an indication. Specifically, what was taken was a selection of documents that related to the Pfizer and I believe it was the Moderna vaccine, sorry. So the trial information, so back and forth emails, peer reviews, that information was taken and then modified before being released to the public with the specific intention of throwing the vaccine's integrity into doubt, because of course it was.
Yeah, interesting.
So yeah, two I guess it's 2 data breaches, but more specifically 2 hacks this
yeah, really interesting. Yeah, I don't think we've had an accidental data breach for a little while now. We're getting more onto just hackers and ransomware and that sort of thing, but interesting all the same. But lo and behold, we've hit our hour time. We've talked about ways of getting through the January blues, how to be a bit more positive, a bit more upbeat in today's world. And of course, we just want to say, we didn't just pass over the 10,000 listens earlier. Of course we didn't. We just want you to know that we here at DBAle are really, really pleased to be offering a podcast that people listen to and hopefully people like. If you'd like to just send us a tweet and let us know how long you've been listening, if you're a first-time listener, or if you've been with us since the very beginning, since the very first few listens that we had. Now that we've hit 10,000, we'd love to hear from you. If you are a regular listener, just send us a tweet at Kurzweil Chris, at Plant-Based Sequel. It would absolutely make our days to hear. If you've made it the whole way through this podcast, in fact, well done. And secondly, if you've stuck with us through the years now, let alone the months. So it's a massive, massive thank you from me.
Thank you from me.
And for now,
Cheers, Chris.
cheers.